Low noise, Jason Skilz, party time, cassette tag.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Another summertime poolside dreadful video. This one's going to be a metal tag for 2023 for cassette tapes. So this was a thread started by Low Noise Jason Skilz. Really cool channel, really cool dude who I've got more familiar with more recently. So he started this back in January. So that would be a few months ago, and a few people got on it. And I understand not everybody's into tapes, and he also ups the questions. I think last year it was like 13 or something like that, and this time he's up to 20 with a 21 actually if you count the bonus question. So it was cool seeing everybody's responses. So like I said, January, a few months went by, and I had a mental note that, yeah, I think I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring for this one. And a few months went by, and I completely forgot about it. And then Matt over at the Accusation Network did his late entry on this. It's not really a contest. Again, it's just a response tag thing. So yeah, and it got me remembering, like, oh yeah, I need to get on that. But you know what? I'm always late for everything anyway. I'm King Tardy, so I'm gonna outlate Matt on this one. So this should be fun. So not everything here is going to be metal. So if all you're looking for is your fill of meaty metal, there will be some metal shown, but you may want to tune out. But stick around if you want a couple of laughs and maybe learn a thing or two, whatever. So hot summer day, and we're going to be revisiting some 80s things. And I decided to go for a Back to Reality India Pale Ale to kind of reflect that theme. And why not, right? So crack a cold brew, and let's get started. Question number one, a tape from 2022, which I had quite a few. So went through the pile and decided what can I what can I pick amongst the numerous things that I have here. So I do have quite a bit of tapes. So I decided to go for something California. So I picked two California-based bands, one based out of LA and another one from Fresno. So this one here is Guds for Lot. So I'll leave the spelling here so you can see what the hell I'm talking about. And it is only on tape format. So I did pre-order this when it came out. Loved what I heard. And this is the most un-LA looking thing ever. So here is this dude with a sword, which I believe is one man. It's kind of like very medieval based folk type of black metal. Came out as nice yellow shell. Friendship, Love, and War. And this is very majestic, full of there's some flutes going on here. There's some frantic, just medieval style riffing. There's some really good like headbanging riffing moments. There's some of that sort of tremolo stuff going on to at the same time, and just awesome overall. So if you like this kind of thing in your black metal, this kind of also gives me vibes of that. What's that one Finnish band? Have a Crew. That's another one I don't even know how to say, but you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, good stuff. I think they're sold out at the moment, so I'm hoping there's a repressing of this. But I mean, you can always get it digitally too. Um, so yeah, and then the other one is everybody will know this one because this is one of Trevor Church's things, and Haunt is his more popular band. So if you have any Haunt material, you're probably very familiar with Beastmaker. So this is a tape he dropped last year, and this is actually old material. So this is a compilation of demos from 2015, 2016. I think before anybody really knew what Beastmaker was. I don't even think the first Haunt EP dropped yet, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, so this one's called Left for Dead, and kind of fits in line with the rest of their style and artwork. Nice, cool green shell, and put out under his own, I guess, imprint label, Church Recordings. So for those of you who don't know, so Haunt is more, I guess, what you call shoulder trad, heavy metal. I guess at times it goes to the speed metal. This is his Doom project. So this kind of falls in line more with the pentagrams and the Saint Vitus, and obviously Black Sabbath inspired kind of material. But done in his own little way. I love all the Beastmaker stuff. I listen to all the Haunt material, but really cool. I think he put out a vinyl of this too not too long ago, but I went ahead and pre-ordered the tape anyway, and it's a fun listen and really cool insight into the early sound of this particular project right here. Question 2, a punk or new wave tape? So I went the punk route for this one. I got quite a bit of it. So I decided to go with a classic, and this is an 80s one, dropped in 81 I believe, and this is a band out of Portland, Oregon. So if you know your punk, you're well aware of the Wipers, and this is their second full length, Youth of America, and I think they're credited as being the first Pacific Northwest punk band in the U.S. By the time they dropped their debut. This one right here marked quite a different change of direction of the sound. The first one was more kind of just kind of straight out, kind of more traditional punk. Here they went for more of that, and you can hear the inspiration of that, the new wave movement, kind of reflecting here. And in some of these tracks, still very much a punk album, but you can hear kind of the change in the sound and the influences of the time. Like Susie and the Banshees and other groups like that, you can kind of hear how their sound was changing through the what you call it, the ecosystem of what was popular and where the climate of the sound was moving. And Wipers were a band that was no different too. Awesome group, awesome project. And so the other one is, I decided to just order in just kind of a bit of a thank you and a shout out to Pat over at Ground Zero Salem. As you guys know, I've ordered some stuff from there, and he just every now and then he'll throw like a little freebie or something in there. So I really appreciate that, Pat. So this is the Cronies, and this is Apocalypse '97. So this kind of this is more, I guess what you call, falls in line with the street punk kind of style. It's a very quick, easy listen. Well, easy in quotes, right? Because for what it is, it's pretty crazy and chaotic and out there, for what you expect. So the Cronies, so I believe it is from 1997. So this is a reissue of, yeah, it says here 1997 tracks. They got that sort of anarchical look about them. Really cool. I love that sort of DIY, that sort of photocopied kind of look to it. So very perfect for this kind of material. So I don't know what number this is. It just says out of 33. And really cool throw in. So thank you, Pat. So those are my punk picks. Question 3, a metal or hard rock tape? So I decided, why not both? And give you a little bit of a mixed bag. So I went with a compilation for this one. And the moment I say K-Tel, some of you are going to be rolling your eyes, because these guys were just pushing out just fucking landfills of this kind of comp material, and metal and hard rock was no different, along with everything else they were pushing out. So it's a mishmash of whatever was popular at the time and whatever bands were trending. So this is an '87 compilation called Mega Metal, and a lot of you old schoolers may already be familiar and know this, although this one here says for promotion only, so I guess it's a promo version. I don't know what the difference is, so there you go. Yeah, there's a nice little robot there, kind of having that orgasmic moment with that little guitar there. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, mismatch of bands. So we have Save Your Love by Great White, Caught in a Mosh, Anthrax. Let me see, Raising Fear, Armored Saint, Always There for You, Striper, Crushing Day, Joe Satriani, and then on side 2 we have I'm Onto You by Hurricane, another underrated band. Hurricane fucking rule. And then In My Darkest Hour, Megadeth, and then Kiss Me Deadly. Yeah, you gotta have Lita Ford in there, right? So this came out in '87, by the way. So yeah, she was on rotation in the charts at that time. And then Surf Nicaragua, Sacred Reich, and yeah. So and then Dogs by Motorhead. So cool, pretty cool comp and a nice snapshot of that time period. It's always fun to show these kind of things, and kind of what people were thinking of the time and what seemed appropriate, right? Why not lump Megadeth together with Lita Ford? Why not, right? So yeah. Question 4, a tape still sealed? And I've actually got quite a few of those. I need to. Sometimes I'll have duplicates and whether it's CD or vinyl, and then which is also one of the upcoming questions. But if I'm going to be listening to mostly one format, it is very possible that that same album on another format will go untouched for a while, or I might just put it aside and to give it away to somebody one day. But this one right here is one that I only have on tape, so I decided to go that route. And this is a band out of Peru called Necropsia, put out by Iron Forces Records, and this is called Arcanos de la Muerte. So I hope the glare allows you to, doesn't get in the way. You're still able to see. Really cool cover art. You can tell it's very photoshopped, but pretty gruesome nevertheless. Yeah, and this sounds very much what you expect from something from South America. It's so I did check it out digitally, and it's pretty much that blackened, black thrash kind of stuff that you'd expect from that region. So this came out in 2021. So this is a band that is supposedly still active, but I don't think they've really put out much material because they have not been around that long. But yeah, still sealed, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I don't know if I'm gonna hold on to it or maybe pass it along to somebody who might appreciate something like this. But nice clear shell. So Iron Forces. It looks like they and I like also this case. Looks like it's a little more thicker. There's a little more substance to it. So I don't know. I'm leaning more towards I might be holding on to it. Number 5, most experimental tape. I don't know how to benchmark something like that. What would be considered the most experimental? First of all, you would have to have a lot of it in your collection to even make that a criteria. But anyway, I decided, you know what? Let me go all the way back and just show you something where it all started. Really, one of the pioneers of this. Although I think somebody else might have showed this. I don't remember which cassette tag video who it was, but it's part of me remembers seeing this before. But I also happen to have a copy of Tangerine Dream's first output. So this is the electronic meditation. It came out in 1970. I don't think Tangerine Dream need much of an introduction. I mean, this is a band that's been um, putting out music forever, and ever since Edgar passed away, it's been kind of weird, but they're still putting out material. But this is electronic meditation. Something like this, very experimental for its time. As a matter of fact, some of the electronic instruments that they used on this was created themselves. They kind of manufactured their own thing to produce the wild, just kind of, again, it's not the most accessible thing in the world. Even if you are a Tangerine Dream fan, this one here is very far removed, and it's not really something you put on if you want something that's a little more digestible. It's just not that kind of thing. Again, very much experimental. I think I remember reading somewhere they even use like fried what do you call it? Frozen peas. It's kind of a bit of that's another instrument to create some sounds. So yeah, so electronic meditation, classic album from way back in the day. So obviously this is not an OG, but doesn't need to be. Number 6, a tape from the 80s. So for this one, I could have pulled a whole bunch of stuff. So, but I wanted to kind of really nail, like, if I showed you this, you're gonna be like, that is the 80s of the 80s of the 80s stuff. And can't go wrong with Beverly Hills Cop. So this is part 2, and of course the soundtrack. And yeah, I mean during this time, what was this? 80, I think 87. I think first Beverly Hills Cop was 84, was it? It was 87. And yeah, by then Eddie Murphy was everywhere, man. He was the it guy coming out of SNL and striking it out on his own as a very successful comedic actor. And then this is one of those uh, buddy cop kind of movies. I enjoyed this as a kid and all the antics. Here you had God, what, James Ingram, Pebbles, Cross My Broken Hearts. Let me see. Performed by what, the Jets? The Jets. Come on. And then who else do we got? Ready for the World, right? Oh Sheila. I don't think that's the song. that's here. Let's see, Corey Hart. Yeah. Shit. Pointer Sisters, and I think the Pointer Sisters were on the first soundtrack too. So it's 2023. So how many of you are still doing the Neutron dance? Any hands? So yeah. 7. A hip hop or R&B tape. I decided to get a little silly with this one. So in the early 90s, MC Hammer was the rage. You know, he was the it guy. Everybody was wearing the flight pants and all that stuff. And a guy had the moves, you know. But by the mid to later mid to 90s, it was starting to wane. The gangster rap took a big hold, and the Tupacs and the Biggies and all that stuff was on regular rotation. So Hammer tried his best to try to stay relevant. Kind of keeping his career intact. Plus, running into all that financial trouble was not helping things. So he hooked up with Tupac and those guys and got some advice and reinvented his image. So he took out the MC. He just went straight Hammer with the Funky Headhunter, and yeah. So this got very mixed reactions. Some people call this the Hammer sellout record, which I think is hilarious because when you think of like he was the guy who was doing all the big promotion, the Coke commercials, and there was even an MC Hammer cartoon show. I remember watching that as a kid, and I'm thinking for an underground rapper, that's about as commercial sellout as you can get. Now to put something out like this and call him a sellout after all of that, I just find it very amusing. But I think in the context, I think people meant that straying away from his original image as kind of the good guy, and he didn't use profanity in his music, so but he still wanted that hardened image. He wanted people to kind of look at him in that light. So he got rid of the baggy pants, put on the gold chains and all that stuff, and went more of the streets look. And this is a guy who hustled anyway. It isn't like he was a stranger to the streets. So I think he kind of just moved into this kind of style quite easily in his way, because he's a showman. He's a performer, and it made sense. I didn't actually hate this album. Some of you may be surprised. So I love my old school rap, and this definitely sounded very much of its time period. Um, and it got some rotation on MTV, though I think what was the one track? Pumps in a Bump. Yeah. So the banana in his pants, I think, is what got the video banned after a while. But yeah, he became that roughneck man. So that year, same year, '93, MC Light put out her what is it? Ain't No Other album, and she was talking about how she needs a roughneck, and here came Hammer, man. That was the roughneck you were looking for, MC. So yeah, except she kept the MC in her name. Hammer took it out for a little while there. He brought it back though, but yeah, there you go. Told you this would get silly. Told you. Okay, we're at number 8. A tape you have on CD or vinyl as well, and again, I got a lot of multi-formats and whatnot. But I started thinking about this time of year last year, in June, July, kind of. I don't remember the exact date, but one of the bands of someone in the VC, Liam, Death Doom Metalhead. So they put out their latest release, Sinus. So his band Consecration, based out of the UK, really really yummy Death Doom. The more I listen to this, the more I like it. It's just when I first put it on, I wasn't quite sure, but then all those little elements of creativity, all those little nuances started kind of cropping up more and more, and I really started fully appreciating this album. I just wanted to support the band. So this is the Life After Death pressing. So it's a Ohio-based distro. So really cool of Eric putting this out for the band. So I also went ahead and picked up the vinyl, and I actually forgot to put. I'm outside. I'm like, didn't feel like running back in to grab the vinyl. But believe you me, I have it. I think I showed the vinyl in one of my old videos around this time of year last year. So yeah, go figure. But Consecration, if you haven't picked a copy of this yet and you're into Death Doom, you're really missing out. This is some excellent stuff. So I can't wait to see what they do next and how they up the ante up from this one. All right, number 9, your most expensive or valuable tape. And this was a tough one because I'm not one of those people that hold on to a lot of OG demos and stuff like that. So because I figured it kind of falls into one of these two camps, right? So people who have very valuable tapes have these old OG tape. It's very hard to tell if it's an OG too, because a lot of them are just kind of, lo-fi, just dubbed demos, and trying to sort of verify that stuff is very difficult. But if you know, you pick the stuff and you were around back in the day. But anyway, the other side of it too is that cult stuff, that cult underground stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Is that very limited run, but very very sought after kind of thing. And I kind of have one of those. And I remember at the time, and then the whole Lamp of Murmur craze. You all know that. I got into Lamp of Murmur before that whole craze even cropped up. I picked up what is it, Chasing the Path of the Hidden Master, right here. And the reason I picked this one is because well this one's still under Death Cult. It's and again only 90 copies of this were floating around. And considering the popularity of uh, Lamp of Murmur, you get U.S. based black metal. It's I think this is one of the poster childs of this kind of thing. The kind of the sought after underground. Uh, and this right here, it fluctuates wildly. So I checked out Discogs, which I think is how some of you guys may have been kind of deciding, oh, what the hell is valuable, right? But even that's quite iffy because something's only valuable deemed by how much someone's willing to pay for it. And I believe this one's hitting close to $100. I think at one point, I think it was the last sale, last time I looked. So another way something can be valuable too is, and Jason didn't really specify regarding that about sentimental value. So I don't know if anybody in the thread, not that I recall, showed anything that had sentimental value, leave behind by a relative or whatever. So my good friend Melissa sent me this pretty recently, and we used to roommate together along with my girl, who was also one of her best friends, before she passed away. And so this is a mixtape she made back in, was it 2001? She called it Malediction, and she knows I'm a collector and I love this stuff, so she wanted me to have this. So thank you, Melissa. She left a really nice note, which I'm not going to read here because it's very personal. But yeah, so that's another form of value that this has to me. So this is one I'm not going to part with because this memory's attached to this. But if you're curious about what's in here, it's a bunch of it's a bunch of radio stuff and commercial music. It's nothing really metal or underground or whatnot. But it is a tape I have in my collection. It is valuable in its own little kind of way. So I'd be curious to know if you guys have anything like that. Leave it in the comments. If you have anything that was parted to you by someone special and I used to hold on to this day. Just like to know. And anybody else looking at the comments might be curious too. So yeah. Okay, number 10. So this is a techno, electronic, or synth tape. And I don't buy too much of this. Some of it that I did have, I did kind of part with it over the years. But I pulled out one of my favorite acts from the 80s, believe it or not. That would be Berlin. And this is their, Count 3 and Pray album. And so, there's synth in this. It's quite electronic. Not techno, but it's quite, there's some danceable tunes in this. And don't let the name fool you. For some of you younglings who may not know about Berlin, they're not, it implies that they're German, but they're very much American. And I just love Terry Nunn's voice, and just um, I could put on any of their albums. And so this was produced by Bob Ezrin, you know, legendary. So this sounds quite good. And it had that one really huge hit. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. If you listen to it, it will take your breath away. So why not? Okay, number 11, a tape you bought at a show. So a lot of you older folks may have quite a bit of this, especially when tapes were very prominent at the time. By the time I started going to shows, tape was pretty much a dying format. CDs pretty much reigned supreme. And but even up to nowadays, I don't run to tapes at shows that frequently. It's CDs are pretty much a preferred format for a lot of people. But every now and then, a band may, especially if it's a more underground band, will put out some stuff at the merch table, and usually it's a demo or something like that. And right before the pandemic hit, High Command were one of those bands I last saw, and so I went ahead and picked up their, I think it's their first demo, the Sakartha demos, right here. So this is before, yeah, this is before they got signed. Who the hell was it? And I don't know why the name escapes me at the moment, but awesome band out of Massachusetts, Worcester, I believe, from, and yeah, really good. Like it's got some nice crossover, it's thrash, and it's jarring to me too because I went to go see them in a very small room, probably held about maybe 80 people, and it's just, you know, people were up front, and he's just the front man just waving around this sword. And I swear that shit was like maybe 2 inches from my head as it was waving around. It being that I'm short, I'm not really visible, so I could have been a casualty that day, man. That one hell of a casualty I would have been, you know, at least going out at a High Command show. The full length to put out last year, awesome, and so, you know, by then, you know, people already know who they are. Like the nice clear shell and that nice. Uh, I'm a sucker for this stuff. Quite cool. So if you're curious about what it looks like, here they are, and it kind of came with this little print here. When steel, so this must have been one of the swords. When steel meets flesh, the damned will be purified. Ooh, yeah, High Command, awesome. Definitely check it out. And definitely check out this demo. I think it's just love the purity and the rawness of it. 12, a tape with a colored shell. Another one, I got a whole bunch of these, but I decided to show you kind of a cool one, one that I really enjoy, and it's a bit of a comeback album because I think that before this release, 2004 was the last one with John Bush, and you can already tell that the band was waning, and this kind of metal was not at its peak quite yet. In the early 2000s, people were just not a good time for the band, and there was an Anthrax scare at the same time. So yes, I'm talking about Anthrax with worship music, and this spells the return of Joey Belladonna, the original vocalist. Yeah, I know about Neil Turbin, you know, not to get too caught up in the semantics of it, but nice return to form for the band. Brought a lot of that thrash back, and nice tasty riffs. Not the strongest thing in their discography, but it was definitely a very welcomed release. So this is a Megaforce release. So nice orange there, and really cool art. I don't know if you can see the worship music and all that, you know, behind the color there. It's a little more clearer in person than might show up on camera. Plus, this damn glare is not helping either. So the tape itself, I mean, look how much orange is here. So I'm giving you all the orange you can handle. So it'll cure any of that scurvy you might have. Think of all the vitamin C hitting your system at the moment. So yeah, cool album. Um, there you go. If you're wondering what this is like on tape format, there you go. So yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed Anthrax over the years. I don't actually hit the later catalog too often. I still kind of go back to the first 4 or 5 albums. It's really does it for me. But nevertheless, really cool release, and nice packaging here, also by Megaforce. So there you go. 13, an import tape from a country other than your own, which would be USA for me. And you know what? I could have pulled a lot of stuff, but I decided to just kind of highlight this band I enjoy from Australia. They don't pull out a whole lot of material, but the songs they do have is pretty strong. So this is Potion, and this is one of their EPs, An Oath to Flame. And I went ahead and paid the ludicrous shipping that it cost to import this in. I like this project very much, and it's a 3-piece, and they kind of play that sort of Electric Wizard-ish stoner. Electric Wizard meets a bit of that Sabbath influenced kind of sound, you know, but very tasty, very heavy, and a lot of attitude and punch to their stuff. So I have another one of their EPs on vinyl. So they have yet to put out a full length, but definitely hit up Bandcamp, check them out. I think you might enjoy what you hear. And like I said, they don't have a whole lot of material out, but the songs they do have, this one here is just 2 tracks. So 7 minutes and 57 seconds, Torchbearer, and then 7 minutes 37 seconds for Hallucination rights. But that's enough. That's just enough time there to satisfy that quick, itch that I have with this kind of thing. So there you go. Australia, Potion. All right. 14. Will you buy more tapes in 2023? Why or why not? So being that this tag was started in January, it kind of sort of set the precedent for the rest of the year. So here we are, July, and it already past midway through the year. So the question now becomes, did you buy tapes in 2023? Yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did. Yeah, I pulled two as kind of an example. So this is Scala, and this is put out by Eternal Death. So that's a distro out of New England, and Scala themselves are a band based out of New England, and this is their called The Secrecy, and very, very cool. I actually wanted to review this at one point and never got the chance really like I wanted to. And this band has members from Infrared Bureau. If you know Infrared Bureau, kind of very progressive, experimental, kind of black metal, quite dissonant kind of stuff. So this project right here kind of moves away from that sound. These guys are more, I guess what you say, Czech Republic influenced. It has a very old Czech kind of sound to it. It has that sort of old style melodic kind of essence happening here. Very cool stuff. And the only thing I would say is with this release is, so here's some lyrics and some stuff going on here. It's that being there trying to capture that sound of that region, I would have appreciated if it embellished it a little bit with some I'm thinking of projects where they use a lot of nature sounds and stuff like that, and I think this would have benefited from capturing a bit more of that feel by adding that in there. But for what it is and for the songs that they are, it's still a very enjoyable listen. Definitely recommend checking this out. So Scala, The Secrecy, again, members of Infrared Bureau, although it does not sound like Infrared Bureau. Definitely they were going for something different here. So there's that. And then the next one here, put out by Dismal Fate. This is an EP put out by Tenebro, Carne Humana. So this dropped, I want to say, I think it was around February or so, although my tape didn't arrive till much later. And this kind of has that old horror movie vibe, the old zombie flick thing, and if you like your full cheese and that kind of thing, definitely for you. It's even got an Impetigo cover right there for Trap Them and Kill Them. Yeah. So 2 tracks, and I just love the eat humans, not animals. Cool stuff. Yeah, definitely get into it. I mean, if you like the Morticians and Betigos, even Dipicus, this is definitely up your alley. So good stuff. Shit. So it's I think it's tape only for now, as far as I know. But it's definitely check out the Bandcamp. I don't know if they're out at the moment. It might be, but they've usually been pretty good about represses. I know with the last one they did, but yeah, Tenebro, Italy. I think very underrated band. More people should know about them. 15. So what do you play your tapes on? So yeah, I pretty much stick with a dual deck for my system. I want to get like a nice, really nice portable one, but man, the price of these old school Walkmans nowadays, they go into 3 figures. It's ridiculous. Even the repurposed, refurbished ones. But as you guys know, cars don't come with tape decks anymore. You don't even get CD players anymore in cars. So you have to kind of do this DIY, right? Or bring your own equipment if you still want to rock those tapes in your vehicle. But or at home, you could do the dual tape deck route like I'm doing. So I got a Kenwood deck, and I have a spare one, which is a JVC. So I'm gonna just cut away and just show that in action and show you firsthand. So this is my tape deck. It's a dual head Kenwood, model number KX69W. It's got all the basic stuff that you would expect. Noise reduction, fast dubbing, balance control, all that good stuff. The only thing that I don't like is that it doesn't have a headphone jack, but that's what the receiver's for, right? So that's the job. So this is my main thing. Right now we're listening to Vicious Blade. So this is their first EP from 2020, and it's I guess you could say female-fronted thrash metal. They can go a little crusty at times. So they're based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Good stuff. So they put out another EP last year, and they got a 4-way split coming out later this year in September. So Wise Blood Records will be putting that out. So I know it's going to be these guys and Bastard Cross, which is based out of Philly, and 2 other bands, which I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but definitely to recommend. It's good stuff. So yeah, Vicious Blade. There's my Kenwood deck. "16. Show a mixtape or blank tape." I got a few blanks, but that's not very exciting. So my good buddy Brian Arkham. So hope you guys are still subscribed. He may make his big YouTube return one day, right, Brian? Right, Brian? So we've sent some VCLT back and forth over time, and man, being the awesome guy that he is, he made his own mixtapes and sent them my way with some choice select songs. And gotta say, this guy's in good taste. So he called his series Arkham Knights. So here's volume 1, and there's and then later on he made a volume 2 for me over here. I think he's made some for some other people too in the VC, which is it's awesome. And yeah, so the first one he called it what is it, Hairspray and Swordplay, and Dancing with Destruction for volume 2. And just to give you a quick taste of what he threw in here, we got Hellstar, Scavenger, Luz Rocket, Talon, Malaya Rage, Destructor, Virgin Steel, Trader's Gate, Hammer, Quartz. Yeah, he goes way back, man. Savage Grace, so Tyrant. We got some Wasp, Jaguar, some tasty ass heavy metal here. Whetstone, Sir Zungle, Dokken, Attila, Desolation Angel, and I mean it's not all metal. The last track here is Tangerine Dream, right? The Betrayal track. And then for volume 2, he threw other bands: Fortress, Buzzard, Nasty Savage, Vicious Rumors, Accept, Don Dokken, Saracen. That one I'm not familiar with, but I did like the song. Artillery, Sacred Oath, Crossfire, Veskaya, Sword, Glory Bells, Heretic, Fifth Angel, a band called More, Steeler, Cuddy Shark. I don't know Cuddy Shark. And the last one, he ended again with Tangerine Dream, Flash. You know, after all that heaviness and all that headbanging, he lets you off easy towards the end there with some of that Tangerine. I showed you that Orange Anthrax tape. So you got your vitamin C fill there. You can get your vitamin C filled with some Tangerine also, Tangerine Dream. So yeah, why not? So awesome, Brian. Thank you for making this for me. I still put it on every now and then. It's a really nice mix of some stuff there. 17. Show an album you would like to have on tape or tape you want on vinyl. So I went a tape that I have that I want on vinyl. That wasn't too hard of a thing. This is something I've kind of been itching for a while. So I believe it came out in 1993, was it? So it's a one and done band, Disincarnate, Dreams of the Carrion Kind. So essential classic death metal. And so this is a reissue put out by Lindung Productions. Give it a nice frosty, kind of snowy white shell, kind of opaque there. But man, so this is one that has evaded me over the years. I wasn't always collecting vinyl regularly, so when the represses came out, I think it came out one other time or twice, and then hasn't been repressed since then. So it's become kind of scarce, and it is a little pricey, even the represses. So this is one of those that when the represses get dropped again, it's going to be a big deal. And but so this time I'm going to be putting my hand on the trigger and hitting that buy button because I don't want to miss that round again. But this is one of the ones I do want in my collection. I do want in a wax because it's just some really killer old school death metal. So yeah, Disincarnate, Jeeps of the Carrying Kind. If you have not checked it out yet, definitely get on that. Okay, 18. We're almost there. Show an 8-track or VHS tape. I'm not a big collector of VHS. I did have quite a bit of them and got rid of them over time. Ever since I didn't have my VCR anymore, I figured what's the point? But some people collect that stuff and love that old analog format. And obviously, I've been showing a bunch of tapes this whole time, so I'm not a stranger, or I am adamant about collecting things in outdated formats. Some people would say tape is not an outdated format because it's kind of made a bit of a comeback and people are buying tapes again. Some people kind of poo-poo at that and wonder why the hell that's even a thing. It should be dead. It should stay where it's at. But I'm not one of those people in that camp. I think it's a very peculiar format. I love the small, I love the feel of it. I just the way it's packaged. I think it's kind of quaint. Is it the most practical format? Not at all. So as you see me show some of these tapes, you can tell I rewind all my stuff when I'm done with it. So it's just another ODD. What do you call it? Yeah, OCD thing to kind of just worry about. Make sure that it's my shit rewind because I'm sitting in traffic at 3 in the afternoon coming back from work, and I'm like thinking, did I remember to rewind that tape? Did I remember to turn off the stove? All that stuff's on the list. Anywho, so some people may see tape as a bit of an outlaw format. But what's an even more outlaw format? There's something in tape, right? And yeah, so you know where I'm going with this. 8-tracks. So I don't see 8-tracks coming back at all. So cassette tapes are pretty much a stretch already as they are. So I think it's safe to say we're not going to be seeing 8-tracks making a comeback whatsoever. So that's even less of a practical format. You can't even rewind those. So that's why I predicated this with my little rewind rant there. But if you happen to find some tapes in the wild, or if you just handed down an 8-track player, so I have gotten my hands on an 8-track player quite recently. So it's and it works, and it's actually kind of cool to kind of fast, rewind back to that time period when this was the format this was the norm, and people had 8-track players in their cars and all that shit. So anyway, outlaw format. So I decided, why don't I just show some outlaw country to go along with it? So here we go, our boy Willie Nelson with his On My Way album. So those of you who are curious, basically this thing, you basically just kind of take it, just pop it in the player, and yeah, and it just starts playing. So if you happen to miss the song and want to get to a specific song, you have to let it cycle all the way through again. Yeah, I know, it's pain a damn ass. So another reason why I won't be making a comeback. But fun for what it is, though. To just put on, let it play in the background, and sticking with the outlaw theme. We got his partner in crime and his buddy Waylon Jennings' greatest hits. There you go. A lot of these, especially the white ones, are going to be quite yellowed by this time. The kind of plastic they were using, the kind of oils, they're not aged very well, so they were prone to that. If you happen to have a Super NES, you can tell it's no longer, it's lost its white over time. So that was no different. So 8-tracks kind of had that same problem. And just for fun, I pulled out ABBA the singles. There you go, guys. So it's not outlaw, but it's fun law. Let's just say that. It's got all the hits. Dancing Queen. What do you call it? Winner Takes All. Shit. I'm just pointing out some of my favorites here. And yeah, Chiquita. Yeah. So Fernando. There you go. I'm all full of surprises. All right. So this one is show your second, third, or 23rd tape in your collection. And you know, it's kind of tough because that could be interpreted different ways. Not everybody will store their tapes in a very, what you call it, chronological kind of way. So I keep some of my metal and non-metal stuff in separate bins, for one. So I went ahead and just dipped into my non-metal bin and just counted all the way to 23, and I hit letter I, and so yeah, so came up with Inner Circle, and this is their '93 Bad Boys album. And Inner Circle, or a, yeah, is reggae out of Jamaica. And so this is actually kind of a reissue because their album the prior year was called Bad to the Bone. No relation to George Thorogood, but and so this was picked up by Atlantic Records, and they repackaged it as Bad Boys. And those of you who will remember, this band was put on the map because of that theme song. So, and when you watch Cops, it was one of those reality shows. They kind of just follow policemen around and use all the soft white underbellies of society, and all the dysfunction and all that shit that went on, in it, because it was U.S. based, and it kind of shot very documentary style with the shaky camera and all that stuff. And this is before police cams were like a common thing. So someone had to walk around with a damn camcorder, right? Probably do one of those big gigantic ass JVC camcorders, or a JC Penney one. Remember JC Penney? So yeah, they had their own brand camcorders, believe it or not. So the song itself, Bad Boys, was originally released in '87 under a one-way album, and the show Cops itself was first aired in '89. So by the time this hit, the Bad Boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Right? So it's a catchy ass tune. So it's a bit remixed for the show, and this is the because it says right here theme from Cops. So this is the TV show version. It's different, a little different from the '87 one way album version. And Inner Circle, I mean, this one has that sweat a lot, long. This is a summer album, man. This is a fucking this is the time of year. Rock this joy, man. If you have any taste for reggae whatsoever, and a lot of people go, but reggae is not really my thing. Are you listening to Bob Marley? If you listen to Bob Marley, you can enjoy this. These guys have been around just almost as long. I mean, Bob Marley's been putting out stuff since the '60s with Peter Tosh and those guys, and then Inner Circle came not too long after, in the early '70s, dropping off albums, but didn't hit the U.S. charts and success outside of Jamaica until quite long after. But yeah, but this is a fun one. I enjoy it. I actually do like pretty much most of the tracks here. Looking for Better Ways, probably my favorite one here. Sunglasses at Night, track number 6. No relation to Corey Hart's, but yeah, good shit. So there is a Sweat a Lot Long dance hall remix too. So you hear that song twice on this release. There you go, more bang for your buck. We're finally at question 20, and that is a double cassette or a tape from a box set. And I've shown quite a few of my tape box sets if you watch my videos regularly and whatnot. But here's one I've never shown, and it's actually a double tape set put out by Out of Season. It is Dungeon Synth out of Salt Lake City, Sequestered Keep. And this is the Era 2 collection, and very much a collection. So 2 tapes, interesting box. So there you go. There's your 2 tapes. So and here's the booklet that it came with. So very purpose made for this kind of thing. And this is basically a compilation of all the, I believe, 2016 material. Everything he put out in 2016. Again, if Dungeon Synth is your thing, this is very good stuff. Very high level kind of stuff. So here's all the releases from that year and what the covers look like. So this is basically a collection of that. So yeah, there you go. Very long. I mean, you're talking about 40-minute tracks here. So like there's 5 tracks. One's 40 minutes 16 seconds, 42 minutes and 12 seconds, and the tape 2 again you're hitting 40 minutes and 7 seconds. And the last track is 21 minutes and 21 seconds. So yeah, this is definitely good, like I guess folding laundry kind of stuff, and or if you just want to escape from the world and find yourself back in those times, slaying, whatever you want to slay, uh, whatever creatures comes to mind. So yeah, very in for the battle, very majestic, and just some cool dungeon synth. All right, so Jason did throw a bonus question, and so I'm gonna go ahead and answer it. So bonus is show a single. So as a lot of you know, that a single is basically the singles version of cassettes, and they usually came in packages like this. So I pulled the Ralph Hurd promo for the album Resurrection. It dropped in 2000, I believe, and this is still in the original shrink. So I'm not even played this. I do have the album, but so again, and then the reason to play this. But this one, I don't even know how I came about this. I've been holding on to this one forever. In stores, August 8th, year 2000. Don't miss it. So the thing about these singles is it's always cool to get one of these. If you notice, this case doesn't have the little spindles here. It's very open. So it allows to store stuff like this, to avoid it getting damaged and keep it in pristine condition if that's what you want to do. So yeah, 2 tracks, Resurrection, obviously leading track here, and then side B, The One You Love to Hate, and that's starring guesting, should I say, Bruce Dickinson. So what's interesting thing about this is that during the 90s, Dickinson and Halford were out of their main bands, so you had those guys putting out their own material. Dickinson was putting out his solo albums, and Halford was, he had Fight, he had some projects going on outside of Judas Priest. So he formed a new band just called Halford. It was supposed to be his main thing, going forward. Or yeah, bringing back the heavy metal and that old sound. Now that he was out of the woods of the '90s, and lo and behold, he's back in Judas Priest. Not too long after this, but he still kept the Halford project going though. He still was releasing stuff under the moniker of Halford, even though he was still in Judas Priest. But when this particular one first dropped, it was supposed to be his main thing. And Bruce Dickinson, I think by then he just rejoined Maiden in 2000. So it's an interesting piece of history, I'd like to hold on to, even though it's just a single. But just given the context of the time period, and given that it says Halford on there, but you get the bonus with Bruce Dickinson on there. So really cool stuff. And definitely check it out. You might like it if you're not explored Halford's solo material. It's stronger than the Judas Priest stuff. It depends how you feel about the latter discography of Judas Priest's catalog. They're a band who have put out more great albums than they ever did, bad albums. I don't think Judas Priest have bad albums, but some definitely are way more favorable than others. The one I'm a little weak at is the Bruce Dickinson solo material. I think 2 of his CDs, but I've not really explored much outside of that. I just enjoy and just prefer his stuff with his time in Maiden. So there you go. Very cool, you Jason, doing this tag, and see, some of us are still participating. Late and great in the game. Captain Tardy here. But I think some people might appreciate a new response video to this kind of thing, joining this tag. The thing about these tags is you don't have to jump on them right in a period when everybody else is doing them. You can kind of just do this anytime. It's open. The only thing is that sometimes the questions may be designed, like for example, 14, right? Will you buy tapes in 2023? It kind of just sets that precedent for the given early in the year, but it doesn't have to be, as I've just demonstrated. So yeah, I'll leave you all with this, and I hope it's been fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and catch you all on the next. And definitely, that's right, keep it dreadful.